WEIN AM Dublin and W246CR Christiansburg.
It's the Dry Sports Center at the top of the hour. Tonight is Game 1 of the World Series. The Boston Red Sox will host the Los Angeles Dodgers in Boston tonight. Game 1 provides an exciting pitch matchup of Chris Sale versus Clayton Kershaw. First pitch is set for 8:09 Eastern Time. Dax Hollifield will wear the Frank Beamer honorary 25 for the Georgia Tech game. This is back-to-back weeks that a Hokie freshman will be wearing the 25. On the heels of a week where he spearheaded the Virginia Tech men's soccer team attack that scored 9 goals in 2 victories, Christo Strickler has been named the ACC Offensive Player of the Week. For ESPN Sports Center, I'm Trey Lyle.
It's time now for The Drive.
Alrighty then.
On ESPN Blacksburg, 93.1, 97.1, and live on the web at espnblacksburg.com.
Nope.
What?
No.
What?
No.
I don't even know what you're talking
No,
about.
that's just weird. The whispering is just weird. That's creepy.
Do you hear anything, Andrew? I just said it normally, I thought. Did you? I did.
Yeah, see, it's weirder when Trey does it. Like there's just something bizarro about that. Do we have our guest?
Yes.
Okay. Because I never got a I
was gonna click
I
it.
never. You want to go ahead? You want to do it? Go ahead.
Just to surprise you.
No matter how hard I'm trying to,
Scott Nason.
Scott. To myself.
Scott Nason. Scott.
I love Scott. Like a love song, baby. When you're ready, come and get
Scott Nason. Scott Nason. Scott Nason. Scott Nason.
Absolutely, let's go.
Scott Nason joining us this afternoon, a rare Tuesday because of the Hokie House pregame show on Thursday. Scott was able to jump in with us today. How are you, my friend?
Paul, thanks for having me on. And it's funny you mentioned Trey's whispering. I heard that, and I thought maybe it was me. Maybe I was hearing something wrong. Trey, no offense, you got to get rid of the whisper. I've always lived one general rule: never have a man whisper to me about anything. So, no offense, but
I
get
didn't
rid of the
whisper.
whisper.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Trey is just deny right now.
Yeah. Trey's trying to. He's taking the high road or the low road, depending on which way you want to look at it.
With you, it's always the high road.
I suppose that is probably a very accurate statement. Scott Nason is joining us today. Of course, when Scott joins us during the NFL season, we talk a little NFL. So let's skip over this week and let's just look ahead to next week, Scott, where you got 2 quarterbacks who are going to continue to try to absolutely dominate against 2 teams that they have owned. Tom Brady owning the Buffalo Bills and Ben Roethlisberger owning the Cleveland Browns, historically in their career, obviously. Does this look in any way, shape, or form to you like maybe things will change?
I don't think this week they will, Paul. Obviously, I think New England is a very heavy favorite in Buffalo. Their offense has started to figure things out, even minus Gronkowski last week. Buffalo offense right now is brutal. They lost their starting quarterback, their second-string Nathan Peterman. Well, they don't want to give him a chance, and so they're down to their third-string guy, and he did not do very well against a pretty weak Indianapolis defense, only getting 3 points on offense as the Buffalo Bills got rolled. Cleveland, this team has gotten to overtime a lot, but they just can't seem to win a lot of these games. Taking on a Pittsburgh team that had a bye week, and taking on a Pittsburgh team that has owned Cleveland at home, especially. You look at since 2000, the Steelers 32-5-1 against the Browns, and the Browns have not won in Heinz Field since 2003. This isn't your older brother's Browns or even your dad's Browns. It's a better Browns team, but I really like Pittsburgh in this one to win, as well as New England.
My great grandpa's Browns weren't too bad.
they were pretty good. They won a lot of titles along with my great grandpa's Lions teams back in that same era.
True, very true. Very, very true. Couple of big trades went down this week so far in the NFL. Amari Cooper goes to the Cowboys for a number 1 overall pick. Eli Apple also traded today. He's going to the Saints, right?
Yeah, I didn't see that one, Paul, but that's a good move for the Saints, a team that's 5-1 right now, and definitely needs some assistance there. Going to Dallas, obviously Oakland is playing for the future. They're done. This season is going nowhere. And so I think that's a good move in the long term for that organization. I don't think Gruden has a whole lot of pressure right now. He will in a couple of years. But a Dallas team that is in need of offensive weapons. We saw that against the game against Washington. And they need help at wide receiver. And Amari Cooper will fill that role. So I would expect that'll help out Dallas a lot. And it will help Oakland out in the future because right now, I'd say between them and Arizona, those are your 2 worst teams in football.
Well, and it's interesting because Gruden makes that trade at the beginning of the season to send Khalil Mack to Chicago, and everybody was kind of like, what in the hell is Gruden doing? Like, why would you do that? And now you start to see he's beginning to do the same thing, or he does the same thing with Amari Cooper, and they're stockpiling picks for the future. You mentioned the future and how he would at some point be on the hot seat in Oakland. Obviously, they're going to give him a couple of years to try to rebuild this team in his likeness.
Yeah, and I think once they make the move to Vegas, I believe that's still happening, is when they want to be a competitive team. And right now they just don't have a lot of weapons. I don't think many people thought Oakland, just because they get a coach like John Gruden, was going to make the playoffs this year. There's too many holes. They're rebuilding for, I would say, even a couple years, if not longer.
If you're Derek Carr, are you concerned about how long your tenure in Oakland is going to be?
It depends what the quarterback situation is coming into the draft I guess this upcoming year.
It's not
Carr
good.
is not a bad quarterback.
No.
He got the contract, he got the money, but at some point you got to be wondering when one of these youngsters, we've seen quite a few of the drafted quarterbacks from last year playing this year, you would expect that to happen if the Raiders draft a quarterback. Not quite sure what the quarterback market is coming into the next draft, but I would expect Oakland's got to be looking at that position at some point.
With the NFC East having the Redskins in first place at 4-2, calm down, Andrew. Philly, Dallas, and the Giants all below 500. Is the NFC East right now, today, the worst conference, the worst division in all of football?
I would say that, and maybe the AFC South but I mean, you look at overall top to bottom, I think you have to put the NFC East in that group. Philadelphia 3-4. I don't know what happened to that game against Carolina. Still trying to figure that one out. They go to England to take on Jacksonville this week. Speaking of a team that's struggling, 2 very struggling teams right there. And then the Giants again just can't get it done on the road. Dallas is struggling. They play on Monday night. Or I should say they have a bye week, I think, next week, and then they'll play on Monday night against Tennessee. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to argue that the NFC East definitely is not the best division in football.
Andrew is just happy because the Redskins are in first place.
Hey, I mean, I definitely understand arguments that the NFC East would be the worst, but they do have, former NFL MVP Adrian Peterson in the division. And, I mean, the Eagles won it all last year, but those 2 divisions go up against each other this year. So at the end of the day, that score will be able to be settled by the overall win-loss record between the 2, but I request that we take the Giants out of that total.
Okay, well, the NFC West could be one, too, because outside of the Rams, who are 7-0, you've got the Seahawks at 500, and then Arizona and San Francisco combined have less wins than the Detroit Lions, Scott.
Yeah, and the Seattle team, very shaky 3-3. They have not looked very good, and they play the Lions this week. A very interesting matchup of a pair of 3-3 teams. But yeah, you take the Rams out of that division, and that's a pretty brutal division. I think Arizona takes on San Francisco this week, so one of those teams will win or maybe tie, as we've seen this year.
We're not quite at the midway point. We got a couple more weeks to go before the midway point, but is there anything right now that really kind of jumps out at you when you look at the NFL as a whole, whether it be good, bad, or otherwise?
I think the good in the NFL overall is two things. One, there has been a lot of drama in a lot of these games. And I'm not talking about the off the field, the protests, anything like that. It's been drama on the field. We've seen a lot of just exciting finishes, kicks that have missed, kickers that have never missed big extra points like we saw in Baltimore last week. And so I think we've just seen a lot of scoring in the NFL. We've seen a lot of good action. And we've seen a lot of non-off-the-field action, at least toned down from last year. I think that's good, and I think I said it last week. I said it a couple weeks ago. Right now, the Rams and Kansas City got to be the favorite still. I know New England beat Kansas City, and so, maybe it took a little luster off the Chiefs, and boy, that offense is good. They're not good. They're fantastic. Patrick Mahomes is so much fun to watch, and this is a team I don't see slowing down, and the Rams just keep going about their business. Todd Gurley does what Todd Gurley does. He gets touchdowns, he gains yards, and the Rams and Chiefs are going to play each other in a few weeks. They could be playing each other in February in the Super Bowl if they continue at this pace.
Chiefs' defense is bad right now. Will that haunt them when as the season progresses?
Paul, I don't know if there's a lot of defenses that are real good right now, the way we're seeing the scoring in the NFL. Obviously, the Bengals, it wasn't the Kansas City defense on Monday night. It was on Sunday night. It was the Bengals offense that looked terrible. You look at the AFC, New England's defense isn't exactly playing very well right now. We've seen what happened with Jacksonville's defense this year. I don't know whatever went on down there. So, yes, their defense is a liability. The Rams' defense, losing a couple key players, is a liability. But in this year's NFL, I think a good offense beats a good defense.
All right, you mentioned my Lions, and I used to call them our Lions, but I think you've divorced yourself of that situation totally. So my Lions right now at 500, they seem to be clicking along. Are you buying the Lions as a legitimate team in the NFC North?
Paul, even though I divorced the Lions, we're talking again, and we're starting to get along, especially after last week's performance in Miami. And you know this, Paul, as much as anyone. I'm not a very positive fan when it comes to the Detroit Lions due to decades of disappointment. But you look at that game on Sunday, and I watched that game, and at no point did I think the Lions were going to lose that game. Now, that hasn't happened in a long time unless they're playing a very, very poor team. They're running the ball. They're running the ball. They're running the ball. And that really is the difference right now. Kerryon Johnson was a fantastic pickup in the draft. They have an improved offensive line. And when you render Matthew Stafford irrelevant, what I mean by irrelevant is not needing him to do everything to win a football game. He had 4 incomplete passes in that entire game. That's unbelievable. And that's what Matthew Stafford is doing here over the last few weeks. He's not turning over the ball. They're running the ball. And, I always hold my breath when I say it. But, Paul, right now, the Lions, dare I say it again, look like they're on the right track.
Woo! Scott Nason, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we got to do our Eliminator picks. Trey, would you please, sir, give us the current standings in the Eliminator pool?
All right, pretty simple. Andrew Alex is in the lead. He's been perfect. Scott Nason's still one behind.
1 or 2 now?
1. He got it last week. He got Indy over Buffalo.
Okay, all right.
Paul, you're settling in third with 3 losses.
Content.
JW and myself, after JW took the L of the Browns over the Tampa Bay Bucks, is tied for last.
Tied for last. All right, JW is also joining us. He's on the phone. JW, since you and Trey are in last place, much like with the NFL draft, I will let you guys pick first. JW, who is your Eliminator pick this week?
You know what, Paul? I am going with your Detroit Lions over Seattle.
I like it. I like it. Loss for the Lions. Mark that down. JW has been not real good in this. So call your bookie today. Take the spread, whatever it happens to be. Trey Lyle,
Take Seattle.
Exactly. Trey Lyle, who's your pick in the Eliminator pool?
Well, we talked about it earlier. I need a win, so I'm pulling out a big gun. I'm going. You know what? I'll just say by this. It was cool to see Tremaine Edmonds next to Tom Brady on an advertisement, so I'm going New England over Buffalo.
Okay. All right. I like that.
I got to get a win.
That is true. I feel like I've used up all of the good teams early on.
You used Atlanta Minnesota,
Yep.
Packers, the Eagles, the Pats, the Rams, the Chargers, and Baltimore.
Yeah, so I've used up a lot of good teams, so I'm going to go out on a limb this week, and I am going to take Andrew's Washington Redskins as my eliminator pick this
Over
week.
the Giants.
Over the Giants. I'm looking at that
Good
Giants.
job, Paul. Good pick, Paul. Good pick.
JW is also approving of that.
It'll be funny when both teams lose.
I know, right?
The Lions.
Right, yeah, the Lions and the Redskins both lose, and then I'm going to go to Dublin and hunt JW down. Scott Nason, who you got, my man?
Well, Paul, I've had the opposite strategy. I picked some of the mid to lower level teams. I still have the LA Rams. I still have Kansas City. I still have Minnesota. But I'm going to take a team that's in first place, despite them not playing last week. They're in third. They didn't play, and they get into first. They're taking on a Cleveland team that has not won there since 2003. Give me the Steelers over the Browns.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. That's a sexy pick. And with the final pick, the Mr. Irrelevant pick this week, Andrew Alex sitting comfortably in first place, having yet to lose in this eliminator pool. Who you got?
Well, Paul, as we all know, I am undefeated, and at this point in the season,
said that.
just at this point in the season,
Get to it.
just as the LA Rams are probably thinking, man, we have the chance to run the table. So am I, and I could play it safe, and I could take the New England Patriots over the Buffalo Bills, but I don't want to waste that Patriots pick. I'm going to get this taken care of early. I'm going to take the Houston Texans over the Miami Dolphins on Thursday Night
Good
Football.
pick.
Oh, I like that. That's not a bad pick.
You're not believing in Brocktober again.
I did it worked last week.
All right, guys, as always, thank you both, JW and Scott, on the phone for doing this with us. I appreciate it. We will chat with both of you in the near future.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, Paul.
All right, guys, take care. There you go. Scott Nason joining us. JW also being part of the show today, getting his quick eliminator pick in. The reason we're not doing it on Thursday is the show will be live from Hokie House all day Thursday. Going to have a very special guest joining us for the first hour of the show, which will essentially be the drive. And then the second hour, Andrew going to pop in, Dave going to be there, Mike going to be there. It will be the Hokie House pregame show. Trey will be hanging out here in the studio.
Yeah, we're not revealing the guest yet.
No.
All right, I know who it is.
Okay. Yeah, no, we're going to keep that under wraps.
So why is he leaving for the Hokie House pregame show?
Well, because we have the four of us, and he wants to get out and do a little tailgating and enjoy some time with.
I mean, I
with
get
the
it. You only
fans.
want to spend 1 hour with you. I get it.
That's probably true too. He probably you've been sending him DMs on his Twitter.
He's a good follow.
Trey, we could talk about logistics off the air.
Yeah.
No, but it would be. But
It was a joke.
Can we? I know. Can we spoil? When can we spoil the special guest? Now that we are talking about logistics.
tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow. That means everyone's got to listen.
Tomorrow we will reveal who the special guest is. I do have confirmation from him. He is coming to Blacksburg. I will tell you this. He is a former Hokie. That's all I'm going to tell you. Football player. So from there,
I thought it was a basketball player.
No. So from there, I mean, you can infer whatever you would like. I mean, there's probably only, about 2,000 of those?
And to not spoil anyone, it's not like a big name. It's a good It's a good guy and a good person.
right.
It's just not.
It's one of Frank Beamer's all-time favorites. Though.
Yes.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly.
That's a good way to say it.
All right, quick break. When we come back, Tina is out today. No traffic report, so you're on your own if you're driving home today. We'll talk. I don't know. Let's talk a little college football. Maybe a little. We'll talk a little bit about that Monday night game. It shouldn't take us very long. We're going to take a break and check out some of Andrew's pictures from his trip to Nashville. Those are interesting and not suitable for radio. It's the drive.
We live for the sports you love.
Excuse me, what are you saying?
This is